All the way back to the 1920s and come through and see some of the interesting events that have taken place, some which some of you will recognise. It's all based on truth, I will tell you, but there's an awful lot of exaggeration in all of this. And a great deal of imagination in creating it as well. So I'm going to share a few moments about Timber's life. The thing I've got to clear up is that there's no truth in the rumour that he was found abandoned on an aeroplane. And that's why he was in fact born. 15th of March 1921 to Horace and Anne Elizabeth. And it all started, I think, in the 1930s when the vision started, when parents moved closer to his school. Royal Liberty School, and where he used to get a chance to go down to Church Airfield to watch the Bristol Bulldog fighters coming over, and that's the point at which he decided that flying was for him, and it's been a flying life. Are you still with us? No, it's not very exciting, but you fall asleep on me, whatever you do. So the 30s was when the vision started, ladies and gentlemen. 1940s, actually a very serious time, I think, for everybody. He flew 30 sorties over Germany and other places. They weren't all bombed, some just got heavy metal dropped on them without fuses being armed, but we won't go into too much of that just now. There is actually a serious part to all of this. During that period, there were over 55,000 airmen lost their lives, and the chances of survival were 1 in 4, which is very, very low. And we know of an incident on the 25th, 26th of October 1940, coming back from Kiel, where Dad's aircraft overshot the runway and crashed. Dad was rescued from the burning aircraft by a gentleman, Ernie Till, who we've had the pleasure of meeting. Sadly, Ernie is not with us any longer. I'm sure he would have loved to send a message if he was still with us. But I have to be honest with you and say, for Jan and I, that night is a very sobering thought for Jan and I. We really feel we're lucky to be here. If it hadn't been for that man saving Dad, and Dad coming through the war, we wouldn't be around now. And I just ask you to join me, before I get into the fun part, in a moment, so just a few moments of quiet reflection. Because all around the world there are disasters happening. There was Indonesia X number of years ago, the tsunami, New Zealand earthquake, more recently Japan, and the horror that's going on in Japan. And now we find we've got servicemen and women back in Libya. So can I just ask you to join me, not for a minute, not for 2 minutes, but just to be quiet and think for a few moments about those people and how lucky we are all to be here for the moment. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So we go back to the 25th and 26th of October 1940 and the Kiel crash. Well, it did manage to crash again, 2nd and 3rd June 1941, aircraft slightly shot up. And he keeps moaning to me about his car insurance premiums. I'm trying to get a bit of a disconnect there, but I'll actually moan about those premiums on everything, and gas bills, but I expect you know that. Papers not being delivered on time, stuff like that. You remember that, Ray? Yeah. So, very, very trying times, the 1940s. But there were also the ASBO years. You think ASBOs are new, don't you? This is the man who tried to carry a car into the mess. And you think the kids of today have got a problem. This is the man who went out trying to impress the ladies with his service pistol, shooting rabbits. He thought that was the way to pull. That's what they did in those days. But his best years, of course, his very best and most productive years were 1945 and 1949, when, as he calls it, the fruit of his loins came forth. Jan and I would say bountiful. So the 1940s, very serious time, but lots of fun because it had to be. The 1950s, call them the enterprise years. Jimmy Britton's here. It's lovely to see Jimmy. This was the time when the warehouse started in the loft. BOAC merchandise, which he still had. Ashtrays, beer mats, you name it. He's probably still got the shirts, the epaulets, they're still there.
The BOAC radio.
And now, as some of you have referred tonight, it's now Aladdin's cave.
Yes.
Because the 50s were also the smuggling years. I remember being taken up to the hangars at London Airport many years ago, and I was lucky enough to be taken over the aircraft, and we were told the stories about how they used to hide the bottles down the toilets on the aircraft to bring them in to avoid customs. I see no denial yet. These are stories he's told, but there's no denial now. And the 50s for us were very special years because we started our family holidays down in Cornwall, and Sylvia and I have ended up down in Cornwall. Lovely place. I'm not working for the tourist board, by the way, but if you get a chance to go down there, please do. Now the 60s and the 70s. We call them the innovation years and the role model years. These were really exciting for everybody around. The first thing that he did was animal training. I don't know if you know about the animal training. We had a dog called Fred. Fred was a lovely dog. The energy of an entire litter in this one dog. Father decided he would do some animal training. He would get Fred on the kitchen floor in the corner, but he hadn't quite accounted for the fact that Fred had a temper. And within seconds, Fred was locked at the end of his nose with blood. So if you wonder where the scar came from, that's nothing to do with the war. That was Fred. Winemaking. There's nothing he doesn't know about winemaking. Now, some of the most important pieces of equipment in winemaking, you may not realise this, are knitting needles. Because it's essential when you make wine that you filter it. Okay, I don't know what size needle these are. On the 10s, but I'm sure you need something much bigger than that, because what you must do is you must make sure you've got a strong knitting needle when you fill up the galls to filter it. Because if you don't, it breaks and the wine goes all over the kitchen floor. And it's the first time I've seen the dog pissed. Father was down there lapping out as well. The Economist. Now you think you're drinking fresh bubbly tonight, don't you? No, he's been saving it for this moment. This is Janet's wedding wine, which is always one to spot the opportunity for a saving. Creativity in practice. Where are they? Yes. Does anybody know what that is? You might think you might think that's a toasting fork, or maybe for carving. No, that's an ice pick. When you're 21, very special time, the 21st birthday, ran out of ice, we decided we'd extract it from the freezer compartment of the fridge. What we actually did is we pierced the freezer compartment of the fridge, and single-handedly we started the destruction of the ozone layer. Now, we did speak to the Guinness Book of Records, but they declined, so that one's not gone into the Guinness Book of Records. DIY. I've got a feeling, have you got some electricians in the house? Electricians? I want you to look carefully about how you should really wire things up. Okay? Have Rob found out his shop when he took the lawnmower out to cut the grass? It went, but how was the hedge trimmer? Well, actually, it was the hedge trimmer and the lawnmower. It didn't matter which to rob, because he was catapulted 30 feet across the garden. This is why we have regulations on wiring these days, to stop So what else? Oh God, yes. Well, once you've pierced the fridge, of course, you need to repair it. Now, I can recommend Isopon. It works very well at very cold temperatures. I've never seen it ladled on so fast. Isopon, it's excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. Oh God, what have we got here? Now, I can recommend to you, if ever you lose a filling, okay? It's no good phoning up the NHS because they can't really help you. They're very busy people. But I do recommend to you Araldite. You think it hasn't happened? I promise you, it's happened. We've done it all. Now then, I think it was probably coming back from one of the aunts. As I talked to you about The Economist and always looking to save, what have you. He was given a curry and he was being transported in the car. Well, an accident happened and the curry ended up on the floor of the car. Not to be one to waste. Yes, you got it. We decided we would scoop it up and he still ate it. The role model years. Now, I'm sorry, I know that they're all here tonight, the Freemasons, but they're wonderful people. They've been very supportive of Dad, and Jan and I are extremely grateful. But I don't know what they did to him, because coming home from one ladies' night, he decided he would engage with the dog again. So, in full regalia, dinner jacket, tie, the works, kitchen floor, barking at the dog. We're no match for our father. Jan and I, we love a drink. Should have seen her last night. But you know, really, we can't match our father. Now, the 80s. I think it's probably fair to say, Dad, that was the pinnacle of your career. So well that a number of appeals against the conduct of examinations was microscopic. I can't remember one with any foundation. That says volumes about your skills and the way you inspire staff. Your retirement coincided with the time when modern electronics were gradually changing the shape of navigation. And those romantic terms of earlier years, great circle sailings, K-twiddle-dee. That sounds like some sex thing. K-twiddle-dee. And all sorts of others were becoming history. I know you miss them. However, I've heard that you continued to give the benefit of your knowledge to aspiring private pilots in later years, and that you won great admiration for doing that. Once again, all my good wishes to you, and to any old colleagues who are celebrating with you. On quiet summer evenings, I'll think of you sitting in your garden, a pint or two on the table, a copy of Norrie and Inman's navigation tables to hand, and a sextant with which you're shooting a star or two to make sure that 31 Fairfield Way is still where it ought to be. All the very best, Alex. And I should say, with all that praise, that during his career he was threatened with murder for not passing somebody in their exams. So what might appear to be a nice, peaceful civil aviation job can be quite threatening at times. Ladies and gentlemen, the 90s, we're coming up to date now, the 90s. The skateboarding years. God, will he ever learn? I think it was at Christmas, and there was a going home to his grandson, and he said, I'd like to try skateboarding. So on our driveway, he decided to put his foot on it and went arse over tip. He's had a bad back ever since, so some sympathy for him, please. I also remember taking Dad and Andy Anderson on a boating weekend to Norfolk Broads. I learned so much about forces language. I have never heard so much laughter in the dead of night as Andy got himself the wrong way round in a V-berth. And I just don't know how he got out of it, I have to say. And then as we move through the 90s, ladies and gentlemen, we come to book writing. Now, still on sale at $9.99. 1995.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Tibbers Wharf, $14.95, and I think this one's $9.95. It's a bit smaller. Dad, I haven't had the fourth one yet because I haven't been able to pay you yet. I will in due course, I promise.
I gave you one.
No, I paid you. So, Dad, he likes to stay close to his money. I know we talked about these things. He does like to stay close to his money. He's had many heated arguments, I gather, when I phone him up every night. I eagerly await which corporation is in trouble now. Recently it's been British Gas. Poor buggers. But you think this is a new thing? Oh no, we found, when I was browsing through his logbooks, I found a copy of his mess bill, 15th of January 1945. And on the back of it is the response from the mess sergeant where he complained about the size of his bill. So it's not a new thing. It's not just you. Now, you don't know, he's a very modest man. As I was browsing through those logbooks, Pete, have a look at the back. Have a look at the back of them. And lo and behold, on the back page of his logbook was a proficiency assessment which said exceptional. So his modesty here, such a modest man, I get it all from him. Now, he has been having some trouble with language of late, ladies and gentlemen. I want to point out to you that these are bifocals. These are vorifacals. The fullness of time, ladies and gentlemen, it will come to me and I will get my lot. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we're up to date. And could I ask you please, in raising your glasses and toasting Eric Timberwood's a wonderful 90 years and many, many more to come. Oh, that's better.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Eric. Happy birthday to you.
Would you like to say a few words, Father?
Oh, just a few.
All right.
Just a few.
He's a jolly good fellow. He's a jolly good fellow. And so say all of us. All of us. So say all of us. He's a jolly good fellow. He's a jolly good fellow. He's a jolly good fellow.
And so say all of us.
I want to thank you. I'll say friends, it's not to say ladies and gentlemen, thank you friends. First of all, I would like to say thanks to Peter for such a nice little presentation there. And above all else, to Janet and Malcolm, they've done me so proud today. What they've done for me, I couldn't never in any way at all. What do you say to me, Charles?
She said that's enough.
Anyway, whatever it was, whoever subscribed, whoever did what, it's been a wonderful day. It really has. It's tremendous. I did recognise this place at last when I came in because this is where we held Joan's, I think it was your engagement party, wasn't it? Yeah. But I would like to say that I tried to come round to each table because the people here today, the people some I've known so many years, some I haven't seen for a long, long time. And it's so wonderful to think that A, that I've seen them today, and that B, they've taken the trouble to come here today. I think that's wonderful. To me, it's difficult to express my thoughts today. I'm completely overcome by what's happened. I get a bit old to share it here, but I mean, that's the way I felt when I came in. And I didn't quite know what to make of it. I'd love to have come to each and every one of you to say a personal thank you and to greet you again, but it just wasn't possible. But it's a day that I shall remember, as it will live with me for as many years as I have to go and get on this planet, and well, I simply will never forget it. So I do thank you all so very, very much. wish you a safe journey, because some have come a long, long distance. But for all you've done, God bless you. You couldn't have done me prouder, and I do thank you so very much for it. Thank
you. We just have a couple of other thank yous. From me, the girls have worked extremely hard. Jan, Sylvia and Anita are responsible for putting all the food together, so there's just a little something from me to say thank you very much for your hard work. And also, Dad.
And who have I forgotten?
You haven't forgotten anybody. These are from you to Janet and Sylvia. Okay. So
Check the post tomorrow.
Your box is still on.
We've got the cake to cut now, so we need to bring you around a bit.
The one thing I expected, by the way, that I didn't get, looking at some of the faces around, while I was speaking to you just now, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 people who would have, in normal circumstances, have hurled abuse at me. You're the first one of the 5.
Oh, I can't get these on.
Going to have a go at cutting this. Just want you to put them Before we started, we want to get a picture of you, alright? So we started there. There we are. And little biggies.
That's better.
What, another Catherine taken? Catherine's done, yeah. Anyone else?
It's just recorded.
Janet, your children's something anyway.
Hold it!
Oh no!
Technology
You're